already been at it 20 years.
So the walls here are 400 years old?
Yeah, 456.
He knows the work will continue long after he's gone, but says this wall and these bricks are his calling.
It's really a representative of the spirit of the Chinese. It's a treasure of the heritage that left behind from the ancestors.
Mr. Chen tells me that this wall tells China's story, that the Chinese came together to build it, and they are still building it. It's not just a wall, it's the spirit of this country.
Yeah, a Chinese story, a story of humanity as well. Tom Yamas, thank you so much. That's going to do it for us tonight. I'm Gotti Schwartz. We'll see you here tomorrow, but until then, stay tuned to NBC News Now. All right, clear. We got 15 minutes. Okay, all right. Let's see. Final touches on the show. We shall see where we are fired up. We got YouTube up. Hello, what's up? Always cold in the 6. Hello, Emanuela. Hello, SML. Hello, Max Columbus. Great to see everybody. We are off to the races. And let's see what else is going on here. Hi. What are you guys watching today? What is the biggest news in your world? What do you think that we are going to lead with today? Tell me, what do you guys think? What are you guys watching? What headlines have caught your interest? And where do you guys usually get your news? Where do you start your day? Hey, hi, how are you? On YouTube. Ooh, nice. Let me see if fire up TikTok as well. No, that's my messages. Dun, 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 dun. Iran. We are not going to be leading with Iran today, but we'll be leading with things that are tangentially related to Iran. We're going to lead with, well, actually, we're going to be getting to things that are tangentially related to Iran. We're going to be leading with hantavirus. Hello, Kevin, Gotti, and crew. Yes, feeling pretty good. Foot is healing. Thanks so much for asking, Mr. Six. Lisa, I don't know. I think she might be joining us in just a little bit. So yeah, tell us, Emanuela, where do you get your news? SML, where do you start your news day? Always cold in the 6. The Boys is much more entertaining than the news, and oddly topical a lot of times. I think the writers of The Boys watch the news a lot, right? I'm close to the oh, nice. I am so far behind. I think I'm on season 3, so don't ruin it for me. Finale, yeah. Yeah, it's a good show. It's a very good show. All right, here we go. I'll tell you what we're gonna do today, but you guys have to tell me where you guys get your news. In the morning, where do you get your news? SML. Start us off here, man. Tell us where it comes from. All right, here we go. It's like the same. Are you talking about how The Boys is the same as the news, minus the powers? I think you're pretty much right about that. All right, so today we're going to be starting off with hantavirus. Then we are going to be going to what's happening right now in, well, the United States has quite the delegation that is headed to China right now. So Tom Yamas, he's in China. He's been doing some incredible reporting. I'm not sure if you just watched Top Story before this show or are watching Top Story. Incredible stuff. And so Tom is there ahead of this historic meeting between Xi Jinping and President Trump. And they are probably going to be talking a lot about the economy. There's still a trade war going on, even though it's kind of put on pause, or I don't know. There are massive tariffs still in play, but I think both countries are looking to open up each other's economies to trade. So we'll see how that shakes out. And then looming over all of this is the war in Iran. So we'll see how that factors in. In the morning, news now. Okay, great. No Steve Kornacki for elections. Shane, I don't think we've got Steve today, but we are monitoring the elections to see if we get any results. I'm hearing that they're going to come in after 9 o'clock Eastern, but if they come in early, we will be breaking them here. MS Now, CNN, NBC, Newsbreak. Interesting. Max, fascinating. You're a power user, ma'am. I do watch morning news now. One of my best friends in the world is Savannah Sellers. We worked together for a really long time on the original Stay Tuned, which was on Snapchat, and she's still like my news sister. So, yep, catch NBC News Now with Joe and Savannah every morning, as many mornings as I can. And then NBC News Now throughout the entire day. I mean, like the depth of reporting, it's far-reaching, it is fun to watch, and most of them are like my friends, so love to watch it. Do we have news this evening? Band 586. Hello, have we hung out before? Have you been in here before? If not, in 8 minutes, we're gonna start the news, like the real news. So from 5 o'clock on the West Coast to 6 o'clock, we are going to have an hour of all of the biggest news stories happening around the world right now. Hantavirus, this trade mission / geopolitical moment happening in China. We've got all angles covered there. We are going to be talking about what the latest is here in the United States when it comes to the economy, that huge society shaping lawsuit potentially that is happening up in Oakland. Sam Altman, the 5th billionaire to take the stand in that case of Elon Musk taking on Sam Altman and OpenAI trying to force it back into just a nonprofit. That's going to be coming up as well. And then, guys, UFOs, UAPs. Come on, we got to talk about it. Those videos that were released last Friday, I wasn't too impressed. I was not impressed at all. I mean, it's good that they're starting to release things, but there was a lot of hype about those things, and they did not show things that cannot be explained. Like, I have seen and I have heard of craft making movements in the air that do not comport with the way we understand physics. And yet we don't have those publicly. So today, Jeremy Corbell, he's got a new movie out. It's called Sleeping Dogs. You should check it out. It's on Amazon. And there are glimpses of some of those videos that the government has right now. So hopefully they're going to be releasing them. He's also been one of the big push impetuses behind the 46 videos, the specific list that Congress is asking the DOD or DOW to supply. We'll see if they do that. Let's see. Do I watch NBC News Daily? I do. Wait, are you on early? Because it's 7:51. Always Colton the 6. What we're trying to do is just have a little hangout before the show. So it's 4:54 here on the West Coast. And if I can, I will start the show up early so we can chat. What is Christine Roman's show going to be called? Ooh, that's a good question. I should know, but I don't know. I hope it's something amazing. She's a phenomenal reporter. James, did you see that? It was, and it's even longer. So we've got a version coming up at the end of our show. It's spectacular. Did you see him take out one of the BYDs, like those self-driving cars, the cheap luxury EVs that they've got in China? That's fascinating as well. Top Story and Nightly News, amazing coverage from China. That's going to continue throughout the week, and we're going to have some of that here at Stay Tuned as well. So Tom Yamas's reporting has been awesome. Great Wall of China. I watch NBC News 24/7. Nice. Always Cold in the 6, SML, 24/7 too. Okay, all right. Pat. Oh, yeah, right, I wish. Tell that to my loved ones. Sweet stream setup. Renless CD, thanks so much. We will. We're going to continue to push that. No, not push. We're going to break down that fourth wall. It's just you guys, myself, Big Mike in the studio, Ryan, wherever he escaped to.
Big Mike here.
Also, everybody, let's see, everybody in New York in the control room, then all these RoboCams. Yeah, this is it. This is us. This is how we roll, and you guys are helping every single day, asking questions, suggesting story ideas, which you've seen go from people talking about them in the chat to all of a sudden the next day we're doing a full segment about it. So it has been really, really cool. Something I want to keep going as long as humanly possible here. Let's see. Doreen, no, they did not. Let's see. Mel, stop copying me. What else? Those were cool. Yeah. Oh, Lisa's in the house. Hey, Lisa, how you feeling? Loved you in Albuquerque. Coconut. I love Albuquerque. Miss the 505 so bad. William, top of the evening, bottom of the, whatever they call it, this time of evening, wherever you are. Lisa says it's her home rest day, so not in the control room if you're on TikTok. She's commenting on YouTube. Lucky YouTube. On the iPad. Nice. Pat Denmack, thank you so much. I'm really grateful that we've been here for years, and hopefully that continues. They did. No, they didn't, Doreen. Puerto Rico, our Boricua friend, William. Yep, Lisa's getting there. We're all healing. Everything is going well. And let's see, I just gotta check one thing before we get started.
God bless you. Thank you. 2 minutes out, starting at the big wall.
All right.
Why do they have guns?
Yeah, why do they have guns? That's pretty scary.
He
Wow.
escapes.
I know. Yikes. That is, dude, is that Big Mike I hear? Yeah, that is Big Mike. Yeah, no, that's Hi.
Oh, it's high.
There is, and Ryan's finally around.
How's it going high?
There's Ryan.
Look at Ryan, guys.
Finally shows up for work. Let's see. Okay, so if you're just joining us and you're wondering what this is Stay Tuned, the pre-show. In about a minute and a half, we're going to be off to the races. We're going to be starting with the hantavirus because that is what people are stressed about in a lot of places. And so we are going to try to provide some context that makes you feel, I don't know, maybe a little bit more in the know about what's happening, the reasons for concern, and the reasons why maybe we should just,
1 minute.
you know, hope for the best and think that this is a great reminder of how fast things can spread between human to human, but this may not be that case. So let's all just breathe a sigh of, mindfulness.
Starting at G.
We're going to start at G.
Great.
I'm going to start back here. I'm going to put you guys in picture. And 30 seconds, we are off to the races. Here we go. Ain't nothing changed but my limp. Oh. 15 seconds. 15 seconds. Have a good show, Mike. Have a good show, New York. Have a good show, LA. Oh. Hey there, I'm Gotti Schwartz, and tonight, more confirmed cases of the deadly Andes hantavirus as Spain's health ministry reveals another passenger from the infected cruise ship tested positive. That brings the total amount of cases worldwide now to 11, and now at least a dozen countries are on watch as the World Health Organization stresses there could be more to come.
At the moment, there is no sign that we are seeing the start of a larger outbreak. But of course, the situation could change. And given the long incubation period of the virus, it's possible we might see more cases in the coming weeks.
So calls for calm there. Meanwhile, as cases widen, so do the approaches we are seeing deployed in how to handle this thing. Take a look at some video from the British Ministry of Defense. It shows a paratrooper actually parachuting onto a remote island to send medical supplies to a British national suspected of having the virus. Here in the United States, 18 people are being monitored at 2 different medical facilities, and most of them may actually be free to leave pretty soon, finishing their 42-day quarantines from home. Let's bring in NBC News correspondent Camila Bernal, who's out in Omaha, Nebraska. Camila, what's the latest from the 18 American passengers that are currently quarantining?
So, Gotti, I'll start with the 2 people that were taken to Atlanta. One of them had mild symptoms, and we learned today that that person actually tested negative for the Andes strain of the virus. The 16 people that are here in Nebraska, including the 1 person that tested positive or mildly positive, and that is in the biocontainment unit, all of them do not have any symptoms. The rest are in the building here behind me, which is the National Quarantine Unit. And one of the passengers actually sharing a tour of the room. It's what you're seeing now on your screen of the quarantine room that he's in right now. He spoke to the Today Show, and here's what Jake Rosemarin had to say.
I'm feeling good. I got rest last night after a very long travel day the night before. Yesterday was definitely a day for us all to rest here. Just general, intake for us. And yeah, I feel good right now. I'm happy to be in a place where I know we are well cared for. And if anything happens, we have the medical attention that we need.
And they are getting checked for temperatures and symptoms at least twice a day. We're told doctors with PPE go into at least the door of the room and make sure that they are taking their temperatures correctly. And so they're saying they're taking all precautionary steps to make sure that both the passengers and also the medical staff are safe. Gotti.
Yeah, and Camila, it's such a split screen. We're seeing those images of the full PPE. We've got people in masks. We had that video of like a paratrooper jumping out of an airplane to deliver supplies. And then we were being told again that calm is required here. Can you talk to us about the growing number of cases potentially here worldwide and how other countries are responding? Are our quarantine guidelines on par with the rest of the world?
Yeah, I would say they're the same, but everyone is sort of implementing them very differently. There are other countries that are implementing these very long quarantine, as much as 45 days in some of these countries, and doing it even just for exposure. That is not the case here in the United States. They're trying to figure out exactly when the last exposure was for all of these passengers. So they're handling it essentially on a case-by-case basis, and then they will decide whether they have to stay here at this facility or they can go back to their homes. But the medical director, or one of the medical directors here who I spoke to today, told me essentially they cannot leave, at least not yet. Here's part of what she told me.
If someone was to try to leave, I would be notified, or one of my colleagues would be notified, as well as the CDC, for us to go and discuss with them. We do have security that's here that would be able to help assist in stopping them.
And I asked her, has anyone even asked or said, I want to leave right now? And she said right now everybody is cooperating and essentially taking their advice. But at some point they will have that option and they will be able to decide whether or not they want to stay here, Gotti.
Camila Bernal, thank you so much. I want to bring in Dr. Michelle Harkins. She's Chief of Pulmonary Critical Care and Sleep Medicine at UNM's School of Medicine. Doctor, great to see you. First, that decision to give a choice, to let some people quarantine at home. A lot of people at home are raising their eyebrows about that. But do you think that they should be doing that? Is that wise here?
Well, I think currently they're still going to be assessing everyone and making those decisions at a later point. Really, it is case by case. This is real-time public health in action that we get to watch, unfortunately. But I think it'll be important that they assess what someone's true risk is, how much contact time they had potentially with an index passenger that was. And so then they can make more informed decisions. And as we learn about case rates throughout the world, then they can make the informed decision to allow that patient or that passenger, to go home, but they would be monitored by the public health system in their own home state.
And Doctor, I cannot help but notice a very beautiful backdrop behind you. I think that is the Sandia Mountains there in Albuquerque, which takes me back to home. But it also makes me think of all the cases of hantavirus that we would often cover in Santa Fe and up in the Four Corners. What is the main difference between the hantavirus that we would see here in the United States and this Andes strain?
Well, we have the Sinombre virus strain here in New Mexico, and clinically, it looks almost identical to the Andes virus. The main difference is patients with Andes virus sometimes get little petechiae or little hemorrhages under the skin from low platelet counts. And then the other, of course, major difference is that the Sinombre virus is not transmitted person to person, and the Andes virus has been reported to have small outbreaks over the course of the last years.
Could that virus continue to mutate and become something much easier to spread?
We don't think so. I work with my colleague, Dr. Stephen Bradfield, the virologist here with me, and he has been studying the Sinombre virus that we find here in New Mexico in a variety of the rodents as well as in the patients, and it has not mutated really at all in the 30 years. Very slight little changes, but I don't think, and I think that's also the case for the Andes virus. When they looked at outbreaks over time back in the 90s, early 2000s, and 2018, the virus really had not mutated much.
How do you explain the transmission that we've seen? Is it that perfect storm of a cruise ship here?
Yes, unfortunately, I think it was a close, small contained boat with a small number of passengers. You had the one passenger that did obtain the virus through a normal mechanism that how Andes is usually spread with contact with rodent, feces or urine or saliva. And then that person boards and is sick, and then there was a person-to-person spread of this virus. It is not efficiently spread, however, so it is unlike norovirus or influenza or COVID that could easily spread on a cruise ship. But you're in a small boat, close space, indoors, close personal interactions that really led to this occurrence.
Yeah. Dr. Michelle Harkins, really appreciate all of your insight into all of this. Thank you so much. Meanwhile, right now, President Trump is on his way to China for a high-stakes summit with President Xi Jinping. That's him climbing the steps of Air Force One. He's going to arrive in Beijing tomorrow. Now, it's not exactly how he wanted to arrive, under this shadow of a war that he said would be over by now. And remember, before the Iran war, there was a whole other war between China and the United States, that tariff trade war. And there were those tit-for-tat tariffs, which led to both countries hitting each other with import taxes of over 100%. While that battle is more of a truce right now than peace, the war with Iran continues to drive up prices here at home. Gas prices hitting $4.50 an average this week, up from $2.98 when the war first started. But it's also food, it's also electricity going up too. The numbers are in from the Labor Bureau, and things like fresh vegetables, those are up 44% than they were 3 months ago, and the polls are showing over 3/4 of Americans are saying that Trump's policies have affected their cost of living. But before taking off on this trip, President Trump told reporters that none of that is on his mind right now when it comes to Iran.
When you're negotiating with Iran, Mr. President, to what extent are Americans' financial situations motivating you to make a deal?
Not even a little bit. The only thing that matters when I'm talking about Iran, they can't have a nuclear weapon. I don't think about American financial situation. I don't think about anybody. I think about one thing. We cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. That's all.
NBC's Gabe Gutierrez is in Beijing with more on what we can expect from this big week.
Gotti, this is such a high-stakes meeting, both for President Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping. There is a lot on the agenda here, including trade, tariffs, AI, Taiwan, and rare earth minerals. But looming largest over this critical meeting is the war with Iran. President Trump giving conflicting messages to reporters earlier today, saying that he'd have a very long talk with President Xi about Iran, while a few minutes later arguing that the topic wouldn't really come up. Now, President Trump is also raising eyebrows, Gotti, by saying that he didn't think about Americans' financial situation when it comes to Iran, that he thinks only about one thing, he says, preventing Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. Now, Gotti, as for President Xi, a lot of political analysts expect that high on his agenda will be trying to nudge the U.S. to at least tweak its position on Taiwan and to consider not selling more arms to the self-governing island which the U.S. backs, but which China still considers its own. Now, senior administration officials have said not to expect any change in U.S. policy towards Taiwan, but, Gotti, as you know, President Trump can be unpredictable, and many observers are watching closely to see what, if anything, he'll say about that issue. Now, he punted earlier this week when he was asked about Taiwan. Also, Gotti, for President Trump, by the way, who's making his first trip here to China since 2017, he's instead trying to pivot towards what he hopes will be a productive investment trip with China. And he's bringing several people along with him, more than a dozen CEOs, including those of Boeing, Apple, Meta, and Elon Musk. At one point, it seemed that getting China to buy more American soybeans would also be top of mind here. But again, Iran really seems to be dominating the conversation, Gotti.
Yeah, and quite the entourage for this trip. Gabe Gutierrez, thank you so much. As we mentioned, prices for just about everything, from groceries to flights, they keep going up for all of us, but now they are accelerating like we haven't seen in almost 3 years. And this is all because of this sharp increase in inflation, rising to nearly 4% in April compared to last year. And it's driven mostly by energy prices, which are up because of the war with Iran. NBC's news, business, and data correspondent Brian Chung breaks it all down for us. Brian?
Hey there, Gotti. This morning's inflation read was the worst since May 2023. Let's unpack it a little bit more. 3.8%, that's the headline number. That is how much prices rose in America between April of this year and April of last year. It was in line with what economists had expected, but it is alarming when you consider that we're going in the wrong direction. We don't want inflation to go up, and you can see that's exactly what's going on here as of the last few months. Economists, by the way, say we're as really healthy as somewhere closer to 2%, although, of course, these numbers are certainly not as bad as in the summer of 2022. Now, of course, this all the result of higher energy prices. Gasoline up 28% over the last year. Airline fares also getting a bump here, over 20%. All of this as the average at the gas pump nationwide is at $4.50. That is, of course, over $1.50 or about $1.50 higher than it was pre-war. Now, here's the concern is that what we're seeing as a price shock at the gas pump is going to spread into other categories as well. Take a look at beef prices up 3% and fresh fruit and vegetables up 2%. In just the last month. We're not even talking about yearly anymore. We're talking about just 1 month. Egg prices were down, but that's good news. But things like beef, fresh fruit and vegetables, those are in plastic packaging. That could get more expensive because polyethylene is a export out of the Strait of Hormuz, where, of course, those boats are choked up after 2 months of conflict in the Middle East. Now, here is the bottom dollar line issue for most Americans, which is your wallet. If your wallet is growing at a faster pace than the price tags at the store, then that's not necessarily that big of a deal. But we're seeing that dynamic change for the first time in years. Inflation, as we just talked about, 3.8%. That is higher than wages at 3.6%, as we got from the jobs report last week. This is the first time we've seen that dynamic flip in 3 years. Again, the green line here is wages. The blue line is inflation. You want that green line to be above the blue line. That's not happening right now. The last time that happened was in the beginning of 2023. So it's been years since we've seen that dynamic. That means people are tapping into their savings, and that's a yellow, even red flag that we're going to have to watch in the reports in the months to come. Gotti?
And that discrepancy means the world to so many. Brian Chung, thank you so much. And today, after 9 days of testimony in that blockbuster courtroom battle between Elon Musk and OpenAI, we finally heard from the man himself. Sam Altman, the OpenAI CEO, became the sixth billionaire to take the stand in that high-stakes trial. Remember, Elon Musk alleges that Altman and OpenAI board members were stealing from a charity, arguing the company abandoned its original nonprofit mission when it shifted for a for-profit structure. Altman on the witness stand pushing back on the allegation, saying it feels difficult to even wrap my head around that framing. He said taking outside investment and creating a for-profit arm ultimately resulted in, quote, one of the largest charities in the world. He also testified that discussions about Musk potentially becoming a majority stakeholder on a for-profit structure back in 2017 made him extremely uncomfortable. Altman described this exchange in which he asked Musk what would happen if he had a majority control of OpenAI and then he died, to which Musk apparently replied, I haven't thought about it a ton, but maybe control would pass to my children. In the end, OpenAI did not move forward with that for-profit arm while Musk was still involved in the organization. But fast forward to today, you see all this playing out now in court. Let's bring in David Ingram, who's been following this from inside of that courtroom. David, today it seems like things got a little tense during cross-examination. Elon Musk's lawyer challenging Sam Altman's honesty and credibility. Can you walk us through how that played out in court and what moments stood out most to you?
Yeah, Gotti, I would say that this is one of the tensest moments that we've seen in 9 days of testimony here. As soon as Altman started on cross-examination, Musk's lawyer tore into him, repeatedly asking him whether he's a liar, essentially. The lawyer, Stephen Molo, really found, it seems like 20 different ways to ask Altman, are you a liar? Have you been lying to people you work with? Do you lie as part of your practices as a business person? And Altman fought back here and answered the questions as best he could, but again was on the defensive for cross-examination for some time, including while the Musk lawyer read back to him testimony from other people who had questioned Altman's credibility. Altman, in response to many of these questions, really just said that he wasn't familiar with other people's testimony.
Yeah, and one of those testimonies that you've covered is Sutskever, right? Who I believe, he was an architect for so much of the AI systems that we use, and someone that Sam Altman looked up to, or at least looked very fondly upon for quite some time. Sutskever also putting Sam Altman's credibility into question in some of his testimony. I want to ask, what was Sam Altman's demeanor like when he was asked about being called a liar?
So Sam Altman didn't have the experience going into this trial as a witness that maybe some other executives have, including Elon Musk. Elon Musk testified at a different federal trial just 2 months earlier. But Sam Altman, so he came into the day, and his first thing in the morning, frankly, he looked exhausted. He had bags around his eyes. He had sort of a gravelly voice. And at one point, everyone had difficulty hearing him, and the judge instructed him on how to adjust the microphone that was in front of him so that he could be heard better. Eventually, I think Altman found his footing, and I think was able to both answer more confidently in front of the jury, and also really stay on message. So again, as he was being pressed by Musk's lawyer on testimony from other people, Altman kind of stuck to his message of, I'm not familiar with that testimony you're talking about from other people. Well, he maintained his cool and avoided sort of losing his temper in a way that you might expect other people to do when they're being pressed so much by a lawyer on the attack. Altman's lawyer later in the day referred to the opposing counsel from Musk as a rabid dog. So that gives you some sense of what the atmosphere was like in court and how tense it was.
Yeah, and big picture here, watching what happens in court, like you get the feeling that this is a lawsuit, but it's also almost like a history book being written in front of the American public, with both sides kind of being exposed and able to ask each other questions. But you've watched both Musk and Altman and everybody else testify. I got to ask, what's your sense of where all this might be headed?
Guy, I think we may be looking back on this trial as the billionaire's trial. I don't know that we've had a case where 6 billionaires have been called as witnesses, including against each other. Looking ahead, so we have closing statements scheduled for Thursday. Court's off on Friday, so the jury is expected to really begin. They might begin deliberating on Thursday, but really Monday. And so we'll expect a verdict sometime early next week, perhaps. I think it's of course very difficult to handicap this one and say what the odds are. I think it's important for everyone to realize that in any lawsuit, the burden is on the plaintiff, and the plaintiff here is Musk. He's the one who has to have proven his case to this jury and to this judge, and he really needs everything to go right for him, in terms of the jury deliberations. And OpenAI could win, on 1 or 2 points, and that might be enough to sway the jury to say that Musk did not prove his case.
Yeah, such a good reminder on that burden. David Ingram, thank you so much. And now to Capitol Hill, where FBI Director Kash Patel battled Democrats while testifying on his agency's budget request. But it did not take long for lawmakers to start questioning his conduct as FBI director.
We're also witnessing a litany of other abuses. Political firings of trusted career agents whose only fault was following the facts and the law. That includes the firing of agents and staff from a special counterintelligence unit that monitored threats from Iran. Weaponizing the FBI to seek political revenge on former FBI Director James Comey and others.
Remember, the former FBI director is facing federal charges for this picture of seashells arranged in the numbers that read 8647. The Justice Department says the term 86 counts as a serious expression of the intent to harm the president. Now, Comey's legal team says that they plan to move to dismiss that case. He sat down with NBC's Hallie Jackson earlier this afternoon, and here is part of that conversation.
Let me start with what's going to happen as you're rolling out the book just 2 months from now, just about with this trial set to begin. I wonder, do you think it is going to get that far, sir, to the point of an actual trial?
I promised my lawyers and myself I would abide the local court rules and not talk about the case except in the courtroom. I'm sure we'll file a variety of motions, but we'll talk about those in the courtroom.
Let me ask you this. The president is, as we have been reporting here on this show, the president is on his way to China. He's going to spend the next several days there. He's got a lot of sort of geopolitical work ahead of him over the course of this week. What message do you think it sends to other countries when the Department of Justice here in the U.S. is pursuing a case like the one they're pursuing against you?
I think it's really important for the Department of Justice to be just and to make decisions just based on facts and law. We always depict in our country the Lady Justice statues with blindfolds to signal that we want decisions made without regard to race or wealth or politics. The Department of Justice has to be the guardian of that. So without regard, forgetting my case, in general, the department cannot target people like an Adam Schiff or Letitia James or Senator Kelly because the president doesn't like what they say. It just can't be that way and still have an uphold the rule of law in this country.
You know, you mentioned some high-profile people, including, I'm thinking of Adam Schiff. Before President Biden, then President Biden left office, he perhaps was thinking in a similar vein, and he issued some preemptive pardons against people like Anthony Fauci, against people like Mark Milley, et cetera. Did you at the time ever think about, for yourself, asking for a preemptive pardon?
No, never.
Why not?
Because accepting a pardon, as the Supreme Court said in the early 1900s, carries with it an implicit admission of guilt. And I am not guilty, and so I'm not accepting a pardon. I'll stand up and defend myself against anything that comes.
Do you worry that this case against you, or the actions that have been taken against you generally, are an attempt to silence your criticism of the president?
Well, I can talk about the case that was dismissed in Virginia. There we made a motion and showed the judge that every time I spoke out against President Trump, he spoke in retaliation. It was almost like this odd call and response, where I would say something critical of the way in which he was conducting the Department of Justice, and he would wake up in the middle of the night and call me some name. And so that's the reason I was targeted in Virginia. And so we moved for a dismissal based on vindictive and selective prosecution. We didn't get to that point because there were so many problems with the case that got thrown out first. But yeah, I worry very much. I don't care what your politics are. You got to take a deep breath and realize we cannot be this way, where the president uses the power of criminal justice to go after people because he doesn't like what they say. That's not American.
To pull on that thread a little bit more, this idea of selective and vindictive, because even after that case, you have continued to make public your concerns about the way that President Trump is running the country, right?
Yeah, because I have grandchildren, and the oldest is 7 now, but someday they're going to be teenagers, and they're going to want to know, so what did Pop do during Trump 2.0 when he was taking a flamethrower to the rule of law? What did Pop do? Did he go silent? Never. I want to be able to look at my grandchildren and say, you know what, it was a major pain for me, but I stood up straight and I spoke the truth.
Let me ask you about some of the things that the president has said about you as you talk about speaking the truth. He has called you, even just this week, he's called you a bad guy, he's called you a dirty cop. Why do you think he brings you up so much?
I don't know. It's the relationship he can't get over. I mean, I don't wake up in the middle of the night thinking about him, but he does thinking about me. I think it's two-part. It's one, he wants to try and silence my criticism, and two, he wants to send a message to others who might consider speaking that this is what will happen if you speak out. And so I hope there are enough people of character who will say, you know what, I don't care what threats are made. I'm going to stand up and speak the truth.
Do you feel reassured by any of the conversations that you may be having behind closed doors, privately, et cetera, that what you're doing is making an impact on that front?
I don't know. There's a risk of a selection bias, right? I talk to lots of people who say nice things, but it could just be the people who want to say nice things talk to me. I don't know. And honestly, it doesn't make a difference because you must, if you've dedicated your life to the rule of law, this is your time. You should stand up and speak. Lots of people speak, lots of people don't. I don't know. I can only speak for myself, which is what I'm trying to do.
Let me ask you about the person who currently holds the position of FBI director, who was on Capitol Hill today facing some questions from members of Congress, as you may know. How would you assess the leadership of Kash Patel right now?
Yeah, I don't care to. I think the thing speaks for itself, an expression I remember from law school, and so folks can just watch and make their own judgments.
Have you been watching and making your own judgments privately?
Sure. I try not to watch too much, but I have observed the thing, and others can observe, and it speaks for itself.
I ask because I do think it speaks to, though, if there are concerns that you have, this question about what happens to the institutions here. You have often talked about, you know, and various people do, the legs of the stool that build the foundation of what this country is and about the democratic principles. And at what point, I wonder, do you think this becomes what you see as the erosion of some of the fundamentals of the democratic principles that are involved in the Department of Justice? At what point is that erosion irreplaceable?
Well, I don't know. I don't think we're at that point. I think the Department of Justice and the FBI have been deeply damaged. Lots and lots of people hurt, norms shattered, all kinds of bad things have happened. But I also know that time flies and that these institutions are old with deep cultures, and there are thousands and thousands of people who make up that culture, who are very different from the people leading it today. So I don't know whether you could change the culture in a fundamental way if you gave a Kash Patel or Donald Trump or Todd Blanche 2 decades, but they don't have 2 decades, and so we're going to be okay.
Interesting interview. Hallie Jackson, thank you so much for that. And don't go anywhere. Coming up next, a former California mayor accused of being a secret agent for the Chinese government. What we're learning there. Plus, on the heels of the Pentagon's release of hundreds of UFO files, we are talking to a filmmaker from a new documentary that's part of the push to get those files released. Stay tuned for that. And also, we're trying something new here. If you see this little QR code, it's the breaking down of the fourth wall. Feel free to scan through. You can chat with us live during the breaks. If you have a question about something we've covered, put it in the chat. We'll get it answered. That'll take you behind the scenes, streaming on YouTube, TikTok, Twitch. Swing by and let us know your thoughts whenever you want. $90. All right, here we go. Let's see.
Standing nuts.
Steve, election night. If we get election results, we will try to bring them to you. I know I'm not Steve Kornacki, but I did wear khakis. Let's see. Lots of thoughts on Comey and that interview. Talking about real news. Oh, come on, Mr. Nolan. That's not very nice. It's always real news every single night. And that is not the way the news works around here.
1 minute.
Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. Ooh. Did you already vote for CA governor? I don't vote. as a journalist. I know that's a controversial thing to say, but I'm one of those journalists that thinks that, you know, as the guy that's in front of the lens talking to you guys about all of this, I don't feel comfortable going in. Like, I know every vote counts and all those things, and I do encourage everybody to do their civic duty, but as a journalist, I can't do it. So I'm not saying that other journalists shouldn't do it. I'm just saying personally, that's my decision. Anyway, very interesting. All right, here we go. Got 10 seconds, and then we'll chat on the back end. But I do have to serve for jury duty. Hey, welcome back. Here are some other headlines we are watching tonight. Memphis Grizzlies forward Brandon Clark has died at age 29. First responders were called to a home in a Los Angeles suburb Monday where paramedics found Clark's body. Police say drug paraphernalia was found and they are investigating a possible overdose. And officials have now identified the man who was hit by a Frontier plane in Denver on Friday. They are saying his name is Michael Mott. He is 41 years old, and they say he took his own life after scaling an 8-foot fence at Denver International Airport and crossing onto an active runway. Apparently, airport security says they missed Mott climbing the fence after an alarm was attributed to this nearby herd of deer. And pro golfer Tiger Woods' prescription drug records will be handed over to prosecutors in his DUI case. His lawyers raised privacy concerns, but the judge approved a protective order agreement. Woods pleaded not guilty to the March 27th DUI when deputies say they found 2 pain pills in his pocket. And FDA Commissioner Marty Makary has resigned. The agency's top food official stepped down following rumored disagreements with the Trump administration, including the reapproval of fruit-flavored vapes. Makary said he was a doctor. He could not, in good conscience, or as a doctor, he could not in good conscience approve the products, knowing the danger they pose to young Americans. His resignation comes after rumors that Trump was planning to fire him. And the company that operates Canvas Online Learning says it struck a deal with hackers to delete stolen data. Last week's cyber attack, you might remember, it created all kinds of chaos for schools nationwide. A lot of them were in the middle of finals. The company has not given the details on the deal, and the group responsible for the breach hasn't been officially identified, but a group called Shiny Hunters claimed responsibility online. And when a 100,000-ton cargo ship slammed into Baltimore's Key Bridge 2 years ago, killing 6 people and bringing its port to a standstill for months, the question quickly turned into one of accountability, right? Well, today, federal prosecutors announced more than a dozen criminal charges against the companies that operated that cargo ship. And NBC's Tom Costello is in Baltimore with the details.
Hey, Gotti, so these are very serious charges here in Baltimore. And by the way, this is, in fact, the port of Baltimore. Serious charges against 2 corporate entities and then an individual, an Indian national, who is the superintendent of this cargo ship, the Dolly. And as you know, more than 2 years ago, this cargo ship lost power twice and then crashed into the bridge, bringing it down, killing 6 people, and then bringing down a critical bridge here on the East Coast, the Francis Scott Key Bridge. Bottom line here is that the NTSB and now the DOJ and the FBI are accusing this corporate entity of lying to the NTSB, of lying to the Coast Guard, and falsifying inspection records. And at the crux of this is that this company allegedly was using a backup type of power generator in order to generate power, and that's unlawful. It was not allowed, and they lied about it. They knew it wasn't allowed, and they are accused of lying about it, falsifying documents before and after the fact. And so, because of all of this, the DOJ is calling this just an absolute reckless regard for marine safety. There are multiple charges here, but the bottom line is this company could be facing fines totaling $10 billion if convicted. And then separately, the individual who is Indian, and he is now in India, that individual, the DOJ is hoping to extradite back to the States. Now, in a statement, Synergy, the company, is saying, quote, DOJ is criminalizing a tragic accident. The allegations in the indictment are baseless. So this is all now on top of civil lawsuits that the company is facing. And these 6 individuals who lost their lives, their families, as you would expect, are very much involved in the litigation right now, and still 2 years later, still mourning the loss of their loved ones. Back to you, Gotti.
Tom Costello, thank you so much. And now to a story that flips the script on where you might think national security threats are. Just northeast of here in LA, the former mayor of Arcadia is expected to plead guilty to acting as an agent of China. Eileen Wang resigned from her office yesterday after charges were unsealed. Prosecutors say she promoted pro-Chinese government propaganda through a local news site at the direction of Chinese government officials. KNBC's Tracy Leong has more on the details.
I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Video shows 58-year-old Eileen Wang being sworn in as mayor of Arcadia earlier this year.
It is truly an honor and a humbling privilege to stand before you.
But just months later, Wang stepped down from the position amid growing controversy tied to a federal investigation. The FBI accusing Wang of spreading propaganda on behalf of the Chinese government. Federal prosecutors say Wang has agreed to plead guilty to one felony count of acting in the United States as an illegal agent of a foreign government.
The charges she's facing are very serious. She could be sent to prison for up to 10 years.
Legal analyst Royal Oakes says the charges stem from allegations Wang was not fully transparent with federal authorities.
The key here is her failure to disclose her connection with the government of China. The allegation is that she was really acting at their direction. She was their agent. And whether she's stealing nuclear secrets or just posting editorials that were pro-China, the fact is, without registering as an agent, she's breaking federal law.
Wang was elected to the Arcadia City Council in 2022. There's a 5-person council with the role of mayor rotating among the members. The allegations against Wang involve conduct before she was elected. The city of Arcadia released a statement saying in part, "We want to be clear, this investigation concerns individual conduct, and the charges are for conduct that ceased after Ms. Wang was sworn into office in December 2022. Following an internal review, we can confirm no city finances, staff, or decision-making processes were involved." Going on to say the remainder of the city council is not under investigation and city operations continue without interruption. The charges against Wang come after her fiance, 65-year-old Yao Ning Mike, son of Chino Hills, was arrested in 2024 and was sentenced to 4 years in prison for acting as an illegal agent of China. According to investigators, the two worked together from 2020 to 2022, and Wang admitted they operated a website together that provided news to the Chinese American community at the direction and control of the People's Republic of China. Wang's lawyer released a statement on her behalf, saying in part, "Events in Miss Wang's personal life, including her trust and love for apparently the wrong person who ultimately led her astray, require her to step away from public service." Going on to say she apologizes and is sorry for the mistakes she has made in her personal life. Her love and devotion for the Arcadia community have not changed and did not waver.
Wow, fascinating report. Tracy Leong, thank you so much. And coming up, a closer look at why China might be leading the charge when it comes to electric cars. Our own Tom Yamas takes one car banned here in the United States out for a spin. Stay tuned for that. All right, 2 minutes. Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. Is everybody getting along? Where's George? Today it's Big Mike. You have me dying. Oh, are you guys arguing about stuff? Guys, be nice to each other. Cold in the 6? Yeah. Oh, this is getting spicy. I think they're arguing about my name. They're arguing about my name. Because Gotti, it's 12 tribes of Israel. One of them was the tribe of Gad. But you think that would automatically mean that I am Jewish, and that would be making a very big, jump to conclusion. Like David? Is every David Jewish? Is every Daniel Jewish? Those are Old Testament names. Anyway, I'm not talking about religion here. You want to know why? Because I'm a journalist. I just told you guys I don't even vote because I want to be objective. Why would I be sitting here proselytizing religion? That is not going to happen on our show. Do not worry. We're going to be as objective as humanly possible. But yeah, a lot of people arguing in the chat today. That's okay. That's what the chat is for. You guys feel free to, suss it out. Just do it nicely to each other, please, and assume the best of intentions as opposed to the rest of the places where we go, where we assume the worst of intentions. Let's see, in Delaware. Hello, how's it going, 32-bit Panda? How are you? Oh, thanks so much. Always closing the 6. Bestie. The gospel of journalism. Journalism has changed. Everybody is a journalist these days. I'm spreading the gospel of mainstream because contrary to what some people think, I believe mainstream has a very important role in society today. Now we only have 5 seconds. Here we go.
4, 3.
Hey, welcome back. China exported more electric vehicles than traditional cars for the first time last month, and NBC's Tom Yamas is in Beijing today, where he got to test drive one of the country's most popular electric cars. Take a look at this.
We're about to do something few Americans have ever done. Drive a Chinese electric vehicle.
What's so special about this? Why is the world going nuts over this car?
In the U.S., we say bang for the buck. This is probably as good as you can get in terms of bang for the buck.
Lei Xing is a Chinese-American podcaster and consultant covering the auto industry.
Is that massage?
Yes.
Right away, you notice the luxury and the features. This vehicle is from a company called BYD, Build Your Dream. China's dream is to use cars just like these to conquer the auto industry. The pitch is simple, a luxury vehicle with no sticker shock.
If you could buy this car in America, how much would it cost?
So $25,000 here, you add about $10,000, $35,000, still a pretty good deal.
And some BYD vehicles go even lower, less than $12,000.
You can't get this in the U.S. right now.
No.
There's no way.
No. Well, not yet.
Right now, the U.S. is refusing to allow China in its driveway, slapping a 100% tariff on all Chinese EVs. Globally, though, the demand is surging. Experts say China is approaching nearly 70% of all EVs sold around the world.
Most Chinese automakers at home lose money. They look around the world, they say, we need oxygen. They see the United States as sort of a salvation.
On TikTok, videos featuring Chinese EVs rack up millions of views, hyping affordable tech to an American audience.
Whenever you're ready to leave, the car will just pull out on its own.
U.S. automakers and elected leaders argue China's EVs would cripple business and threaten national security.
There's always strings attached. What are those strings, and are we willing to forego potentially our freedoms in exchange for a cheaper product?
President Trump is even bringing Elon Musk to the summit in China. Tesla is in fierce competition with Chinese EVs. But the president is also sending mixed signals, increasing tariffs, but earlier this year saying he might welcome foreign auto investment if they build in America and hire Americans.
If they want to come in and build a plant and hire you and hire your friends and your neighbors, that's great. I love that. Let China come in.
Back in the car, the comfort and the price tag make the scale of this challenge clear. The question may no longer be if these cars are coming, but how much longer the American market can keep them at bay.
Tom Yamas, what a ride. Thank you so much. And coming up in the future of everything, a new documentary is exploring the fight to get UFO files released publicly, and we are going to talk to the filmmaker at the center of it all, good old Jeremy Corbell.
All right, 90.
All right, 90 seconds?
90 seconds.
And then is everything on tape?
On tape, the next 2 blocks, yeah.
Okay, got it. So we're good to go?
Yeah.
And then we got to wait for... And tonight in the future of everything. Sounds good. All right, thanks. Okay. All right, guess what? Everything else is on tape, but I think we route it through the knock, which is just a fancy way of saying maybe we'll be able to watch it together. And then, as people were wondering, they're like, where's Kornacki? We're Kornacki today. That's why we got the khakis on, and we don't have a big board. And we have a broken foot, so it's not going to be the same as Kornacki. But if there is a call in the race, we're going to bring it to you right here. So I'll stick around for a little while. But in the meantime, we've got, let's see, that's the control room. And as soon as the rest of the show pops through, hopefully it'll be coming in through there. So maybe I'll get a little notification. If I don't, and you guys see it playing on the television or the rest of our show, let me know, and we'll patch it over, because I definitely want to see this UFO segment with you. I would buy a BYD, especially if they were made here. That's a very good, fascinating, very good point. Changes the game if they're made here and they're creating U.S. jobs, I guess, which is what the president seemed to be suggesting earlier. What does it do to the American manufacturing, base? That's a whole different story. But yeah, and then somebody said, who was it that said, I see them in TJ all the time? Really? Cat, that's fascinating. Have you ever driven in one? That makes me just want to take an Uber in Tijuana or Juarez just to see what it's like. We will have these kind of cars in America within the next 5 years. You think so? I think that's probably a pretty good guess. BYD car. Doreen, you've probably seen all of the viral videos.
Nor attractive. And tonight, maybe another small piece to the ever-expanding, ever-confusing quest to answering the great question, are we alone in this universe? Well, this summer is going to be a big one for the UFO, UAP conversation. Just a few days ago, the government releasing more videos of unidentified things flying around. This summer's Steven Spielberg blockbuster is going to be about disclosure of UFOs. And tonight, there's this new movie, a documentary dropping on Amazon that is extremely close to the source material on what we are seeing play out so publicly right now. It's called Sleeping Dog, centered around someone we know very, very well here at Stay Tuned, Jeremy Corbell. It is a glimpse at how he navigates this very bizarre world of government secrecy, whistleblowers, and whatever UAPs actually are. Listen.
Is an investigative journalist who helped obtain and release the DoD footage of UFOs.
I'm afraid he's going to die.
Years ago, I went searching for the truth about UFOs, and I found it. To really understand the full picture, I'm going to start where it all began.
Joining us now is Jeremy Corbell. It began a long time ago, and we were there with you, in some of the beginnings here. But the timing of this film is so wild. Just a few days ago, the DoD released this big batch of unexplained videos that people have been poring over. Some of them we've already seen because you have already put them out there publicly. And yet, what we've seen from the government so far, how much more do you think there is to come?
Yeah, this is the floor, not the ceiling. What you're seeing is not the best evidence. It's what they brought together. I'm glad they did. If the public could see the things that some of us journalists have seen, it would be shocking. And so I'm really hoping that this is a genuine attempt to move forward with disclosure. It sure seems like it is. Everything in this fight has always been provoked, so people need to keep pushing, showing that they do want transparency on this.
It's so interesting. Those that watch us very, very closely know that Congress has requested 46 very, very specific clips. And so when we saw this first batch drop from the U.S. government, so many of us were pouring through looking for these 46 clips, and it doesn't seem like the bulk of them are these 46 clips online. People are already posting clips from your film. Sorry, but it gets out there. But it looks like you're reviewing images of things that are moving in ways that are much more, shall we say, unconventional. Then there was that shot of what looks like your laptop, a bunch of other files on there. Do you think that the government, you have to assume that the government has all of those. Do you think that those are going to be released publicly here? And those 46 videos that Congress has asked for, why haven't we seen most of those so far?
Right. I'm very optimistic that we are. And you're right. In the movie, you see me reviewing footage. That's not stuff that I'm directly putting out. George Knapp and I are journalists. We're not the custodians of some government secrets. We're the ones that risk everything with our journalists to look through the data, to understand what it is that is of public interest and public value. You know, that is our job. Now, these 46 videos, I think it's public record now. George Knapp and I did provide Congress the file names for not just those 46, but an additional, actually 14 from the Air Force and a whole lot more. So they know where to look. They know what to ask for. They have asked for them. And I believe that they are dead set on putting them out come hell or high water.
And yet, based on what you've seen so far, what you know is in the requested list and what you know exists, like what is the craziest thing that you've seen?
The craziest thing is not always the thing that's the most convincing. Look, with all of these files, there's so much data, the weight of over 75, 85 years of this secrecy and this silence, it's just starting to breach the surface. None of us truly know the true and ultimate answer when it comes to UAP. We can look up at the stars and we can wonder, but what our government does know, they need to admit, which is that we didn't make these machines, and we've ruled out all other technologically advanced countries. So where are they from? What are they doing? All the big questions can start to emerge as soon as we see proper transparency, and we might start seeing that.
And yet, in your film, one of the things that's so explored is this idea that whistleblowers are afraid to come forward. Your mom is terrified that something is going to happen to you. There are so many people that are out there that don't want to come forward because of either the stigma or, as your film suggests, something a little more sinister.
Yeah, the pressure that's placed on sources and journalists that are covering this issue, the lengths that intel agencies have gone to silence them. I mean, I've been there. I've seen that fight. That's why, the filmmaker convinced me to do this, is let people in, let them see that this is what's going on. They'll rally behind you. And I certainly hope so. We all need to get on the same page here. This is coming out. Everybody needs to get behind that and push for it, and we will see more and better and more diverse, like I've talked to you before on your show about.
Yeah, and finally, Jeremy, one of the things that you also seem to grapple with, which is, resonated with me because I grapple with the same thing, is how much crap there is out there as well. So it's all about trying to sort any signal from any noise here. And yet there are so many times in which you're like, wait, hold on. Am I just being played? Completely played? Are we being played for fools here? Or is there something truly mysterious that may not be revealed to us in the short-term future here?
Yeah, if we're being played, we're playing ourselves. UFOs are real. This has been an issue that is well known. It's an open secret within the intelligence communities. That is why it was such a serious statement from our president saying that we're going to start putting this information out. I hope they follow through. I believe they will follow through, but we need to push if we want that.
Yeah, and the secrecy is the biggest impediment to all of that. And Jeremy Corbell, we really appreciate you taking your time today. Thanks so much. And still to come, a look at how a small but mighty group is working to restore the Great Wall of China. But first, you got to see this. Preening peacocks have taken over this seaside town in Italy. The wild birds have been spotted wandering the streets, climbing rooftops, fanning their feathers across the village, stunning tourists, but frustrating a lot of the locals. Residents say that while they're pretty to look at, the birds are noisy, they're messy, they are impossible to ignore. Safe to say, feathers are definitely getting ruffled out there. We'll see how it all resolves. Coming right up. All right. Did you guys watch that? I don't see you guys talking very much about aliens. I see you guys still bickering at each other, which is very human of you. I get it. And there's a lot to be upset about. But can we just, for once, agree that we should get a full picture on this whole UAP thing? We're not getting told everything that's going on, and it bugs me. So fingers crossed we will get answers sometime soon. They're besties at NBC. Wait, who are you talking about? Who's besties? Hallie was the chief White House correspondent. Then she got her own show, 2 hours. She has
Hallie Jackson's, it's my favorite, it's one of my favorite shows on NBC News Now's network. But Hallie is the smartest person I've ever met. I've seen her work behind the scenes, legit, like IQ 170, Mensa, just absolutely mind-blowingly brilliant. So Hallie Jackson is the best. I'm the president of her fan club. Oh, Garrett. And Garrett, yeah, he's a very good guy. Where can I watch this? Campbell Corn Lab, are you talking about the show? Because you can watch it on NBC News Now. Put up this picture. See what's verified, see what we can talk about when it comes to legal and standards, and not some weird agenda that everybody thinks is happening behind the scenes. But I don't know if you knew this, the United States is governed by laws from Congress and also precedents set by legal standards. And so we have legal standards, we have journalistic standards that we adhere to, and it does take us some time to get things up on air, a lot longer than maybe somebody that is quick to throw up unverified reports that end up being wrong. But I do believe that mainstream is very, very important in that regard. So that's where we're coming from, but I do get why you're mad. I totally understand. It's a very, very...
Welcome back. For years, China has been working to restore the biggest piece of their history, the Great Wall. And for a country building a ton of robots, the build that we're seeing looks a lot less high-tech. NBC's Tom Yamas went to check it out himself.
Our journey to the Great Wall starts just north of Beijing. From the urban center of China, we head out to the countryside. We're going up some very windy roads now up the Yan Mountains. This is one of the main mountain ranges of China. We're trying to reach a remote area of the Great Wall of China known as Jiankou. That means arrowhead.
It's extremely dangerous for visitors to hike up there and then walk along the section of the Great Wall.
And that's where you're taking us?
Yes.
At the mountain base, we meet our guide, Xi Ran, and Mr. Chen, leading the restoration of this hard-to-reach section of the Great Wall.
So for the first time now, we can actually see the Great Wall. It's up there. That's that arrowhead we were talking about. We're going to hike up there. That's actually a soldier's tower from the Ming Dynasty, about 400 to 500 years old. It was a lookout over the Great Wall. It's a good workout, huh?
Yeah.
The hike is mostly uphill, taking us around ridges, through forest canopies, and along merciless rocky terrain.
As advanced as China is when it comes to technology, they're still using ancient ways to rebuild the Great Wall.
The Great Wall took nearly 2,000 years to build, designed to protect a newly unified China from invaders, Mongol tribes trying to invade and steal its riches. Today, it's the pride of the Chinese who are spending decades trying to restore it, and it's why Mr. Chen is still climbing at his age.
That's his responsibility.
He feels it's his purpose in life.
His purpose of life.
We've reached it, the Great Wall.
The 2-mile vertical climb and 90-minute journey bring us to the final steps that reveal the awesome size of this ancient feat, one of the wonders of the world.
From this vantage point, it is incredible to see.
The Great Wall is the longest man-made structure in the world, and to see it from this perspective is incredible. It stretches for miles, thousands of miles. And to think that humans brought these bricks one by one and assembled this, it took centuries, and many consider the Great Wall China's backbone. But at the top, we realize there is so much work to do. The repairs are being done brick by brick. Mr. Chen has already been at it 20 years.
So the walls here are 400 years old?
Yeah, 456.
He knows the work will continue long after he's gone, but says this wall and these bricks are his calling.
It's a really representative of the spirit of the Chinese. It's a treasure of heritage that left behind from the ancestors.
Mr. Chen tells me that this wall tells China's story, that the Chinese came together to build it, and they are still building it. It's not just a wall, it's the spirit of this country.
Yeah, a Chinese story, a story of humanity as well. Tom Yabmas, thank you so much. That's going to do it for us tonight. I'm Gotti Schwartz. We'll see you here tomorrow, but until then, stay tuned to NBC News Now.
All right, and that's the show. Thank you guys so very much for watching. Mute. Hello. Hold on. Nothing on the horizon. What's the word with the election? Let's see if we got election results. See you tomorrow, nerds. Goodbye, always cold in the 6, you bestie. Goodbye, Heyday. Goodbye, Gee Whiz. Goodbye, Mr. Nolan. And you guys, let's all just be friends tomorrow. But yeah, we'll see you here tomorrow. More to talk about. Hopefully a better day in the news, right? Have a great show tomorrow.